Good morning and welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Kelly Benfey and I teach within our fitness athlete division. So you guessed it, it's Fitness Athlete Friday. And our topic for today is we're going to be talking injury or opportunity within this fitness athlete population. So before we get into that, let me just catch you up on what's coming up within our fitness athlete division for the rest of the year. So the last time you can catch us live on the road for fitness athlete, clinical management of the fitness athlete live is next weekend. It's going to be in Chicago. I'll be meeting up with Zach, the barbell physio, and Kristen Net's coming down with me. So that's going to be a blast. So if you're in that area next weekend, feel free to grab a spot. And then the last cohort of our online course, Clinical Management of the Fitness Athlete Essential Foundations, is starting December 6th. So that course is always selling out. If you're on the fence, snag a spot now. And if you have any money left in that CEU bank that's going to expire at the end of the year, I'm biased, but I think you should put it towards one of those courses. So for a full list of the rest of our ICE courses, for the remainder of the year and then heading into 2022, head over to ptonice.com for our schedule as well as getting registered for those courses. So let's get into our topic. Like I mentioned, we're talking injury or opportunity for this fitness athlete population. So with our courses, we get this we have this conversation a lot, like how to get good buy-in from these athletes, how to treat this population well. And I find myself having this conversation surrounding injury or opportunity often, so I wanted to share my thoughts surrounding it so you can utilize it for your patients in the future. So let's set the scene here so we can all picture this scenario of a fitness athlete coming to you for, say, shoulder pain with kipping motions or snatching. Maybe it's back pain every time they build up to a heavy deadlift and squat, like they're trying to follow a strength program to improve their strength. At this point, they can't toughen it out anymore. It's gotten to the point where they can't really train through it or just like take the couple days off and let it go away. It's starting to inhibit their ability to train. And so they're bummed at this point. Like I've been there. It's a day ruiner for sure. And so we have to remember that for these athletes, going to the gym, doing that 1 hour CrossFit class could be the best hour of their day. That's where they get to get away from home or work, they get to see their friends, they get to push themselves in the gym, and that feels really good to them. And so it's a huge bummer. The CrossFit Games also just recently released the next season schedule. So like we have the Open coming up on our schedules now. That's for a portion of these athletes that can add a little bit of pressure. And so they're in your clinic and they're not excited and it's time to address their issues. So if we take a step back, like as a physical therapist, I'm super excited that this person's presenting with a fitness problem and not a health problem. They're already steps ahead of the population that is more sedentary in nature. And we know that the shoulder pain that they might be having isn't going to kill them. And that's super positive, and like that's a big win that I'm just keeping track of in the back of my head. During this scenario, it's not the time to necessarily bring that up though. So in this scenario, how do we motivate this type of person and how do we press on? So I think it requires us to identify the true problem here. So sure, a problem that they're having if they're in your clinic is pain. Whether it's in their shoulder, whether it's in their back. I use those as examples frequently. But what is this pain they're having actually preventing them from doing? Maybe it's RXing the workout that they normally would always RX, which is frustrating for some athletes. Maybe they are trying to practice muscle up, so when the Open comes up this year, they don't get stopped at that movement. Maybe they sign up for a local competition in 2 weekends with a couple friends, and they're worried that they're not going to be able to participate and they'll have to bail on their team. Like, that's stressful, right? And what do all those scenarios have in common? That's my question. What they have in common is performance. So yes, the pain is a problem, but really what the athlete is nervous about or frustrated about is the fact that this is limiting their performance. So what I like to do when this happens is almost flip the narrative from rehab to performance, because that's truly what this athlete is concerned with, that this pain is limiting or they're going to lose progress, they're going to start performing poorly. And so what I like to do is have a conversation that kind of goes like this. Obviously, we're going to say, like, here's our plan. We're going to calm down X, Y, Z. Here's your temporary modifications so you can continue to maintain as much fitness as possible through this. And what I find myself often saying is that, this pain is simply a message from our tissues telling us that we need to change something. Because I think that pain is often really scarier and can result in the athlete having fear, like, am I hurt? Like, am I setting myself up for worse damage down the line, etc. And so what I like to do is almost de-emphasize that pain and like take it as like, this is a great learning opportunity. Like, this is just a message that we got to change some stuff, like I said. So once you identify whether it's maybe some mobility restriction that's on board, maybe it's a strength limitation that's contributing to this pain, maybe some technique issues are on board that's contributing to some weird loading positions, or maybe it's programming habits, for example. So what that pain is telling us is we have to change one of those things. And what's really cool, by addressing that issue, not only are we going to reduce your pain and likely prevent or reduce the likelihood that every time you do whatever you did that got you here, like that, so it's going to reduce the likelihood that you always have pain when you do that. But that's also going to help increase how much weight you can put on the bar, increase how successful and efficient you are with gymnastics, so that our performance soars. So for example, like if somebody came to me with back pain with a deadlift, I'm going to say, well, we're going to strengthen your lower back and build you up so much that your tissues are able to tolerate so much more than they previously could, and that way you're not going to have this pain as much anymore. And maybe you've been stuck at the same deadlift PR for 2 years. This deadlift or low back strengthening is not only going to be a part of your rehab program, but it's also going to improve your performance. Like, I'm super excited to see next time we can build up to a heavy max where we're at this point. Obviously, that's down the line in the future. It takes time to do that sometimes. But if this pain never happened, you'd never be in my clinic right now, and we'd probably never be addressing these holes in our training, for example. So like I've always experienced myself, this is such a great learning opportunity. So I always use myself as an example too. This is another reason why, #BeAboutIt is so important. But about 3-4 years ago, I had a shoulder injury that took me out of being able to do the things I wanted to do freely, for about 6 months. I learned a lot because I was kind of training too much. I was competing too much. I wasn't strengthening kind of the areas that I needed to strengthen, and it caught up with me a bit. And while it pretty much sucked, for lack of a better term, it was the best thing that ever happened to me from an athlete standpoint as well as a rehab professional. And so over the course of that rehab, I did so much shoulder stabilization drills. I did so much lat strengthening that now I feel like my shoulder is stronger than the other side, and my lats are so strong I look like an upside down triangle practically. And what that led me to do is now every time I go to fatigue with gymnastic skills, which were once symptomatic, I never irritate that shoulder. And so my point of that is my performance of those skills is so much better after having had that injury, because I really attacked all the weaknesses that made me a little bit vulnerable to experiencing pain in that area. So to kind of wrap things up and bring it back full circle, when somebody comes to us with an injury, I really enjoy taking that situation as an opportunity to, yes, like we're really good at getting you out of pain, but like let me tell you about all the things that we're gonna do that's gonna help you perform better. So when they're in that panic mode state, we can kind of find that motivation and direction towards an end goal, which is ultimately the goal that they had to begin with, right? So we deal some of that hope out, like we've said before. We align that plan with performance goals. And so, like I said, taking this injury as the opportunity to really dial all of those things in. I think you can apply this for any athlete outside of our CrossFit athletes, of course, but since this is Fitness Athlete Friday and that's kind of my world, that's kind of my thought process surrounding how to get really great buy-in and really show what value you can provide as a physical therapist to their life, to their training, to their performance. So I'd love to hear any thoughts that you all have on this situation to open up this conversation a bit. I hope that just kind of reframes and opens up some more ideas on how you can bring in some knowledge and hope and empowerment into these athletes. So that's all I have for today. And have a great weekend. We'll be back with our PT on Ice Daily Show on Monday. Take care. Bye.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. And be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.